I warrior. Let's get it, man. First off, man, what's a warrior mean?
A warrior means awakened by the Most High.
Waking by the Most High, Most High Christ. That's a solid name. All right, so we're gonna start from the very beginning of it all, man. Of course, like a lot of people don't know your story. I just give them a brief introduction, right? This brother right here, he's been did 17 years in prison, right? 17 years in prison. He got released. When did you get released?
November 29th of 2023.
November 29th of 2023. You know what I'm saying? After doing 17 years. So, he got a pretty interesting story, a fascinating story. So we're gonna start from the very beginning, right? All right, so where'd you grow up? Where you from? Um, let's start there.
Where I'm from, well, when I was in the world,
Uh,
uh, I was from Hoover,
yeah.
in South Central Los Angeles.
Okay. All right. It's funny when you ask a brother where he from, he say what hood he was from before he say what city he's from. You know what I'm
Most
saying?
definitely, most definitely. It's a LA thing
Yeah,
or a Cali thing.
for sure, for sure. All right, so you said you grew up in South Central
South Central.
in the Hoovers. What part? I
Uh,
know Hoover got a lot of sections.
right. So I grew up in the 50s.
Okay.
Yeah.
50.
So I grew up in the 50s on 59th in Denver.
Mm, okay. So like, tell me about your upbringing. Like, how was it growing up? And I think you said you was in South Central, but you was like you like was in Watts and
Right. So I kind of grew up a little bit of everywhere. I grew up. I stayed with my mom when I was a baby in Watts in the Nickerson Garden Projects,
mm,
and I stayed over there with her and my granny probably till I was like 8.
okay.
And then from there we moved to Compton, and then we stayed in Compton for probably like 3 years. But in between all of this, my father, who was from Hoover, when he come get me, he didn't live with us. So when he come get me, I'll be in the Hoovers. So I'll be over there with him in the Hoovers, and then I'll be in Watts with my mama, and then in Compton with my mama.
Yeah.
So I grew up a little bit
Okay.
scattered.
Gotcha. And so like, how was it growing up like with your mother? And how many siblings did you have in that household?
Well, just my mama household,
Yeah.
it was just two. Only had two sisters
Okay.
in my mama household, but overall, it's 13 siblings.
Mm.
But growing up in the projects with my mama, it was it was being a little baby kid growing up, running around, getting into things. Uh, as a kid growing up, we was more into like stealing people lawnmowers and making dirt bikes and things of that nature,
Hmm.
breaking in people's houses and just doing little terrorizing little things as kids.
Yeah. And how was it in the crib though? Like at the house, did your mom have a husband, boyfriend?
No, so my mother, still to this day, has never brought another man home outside of my father.
Mm.
Even if she did date somebody, we never met him. She never brought him ever to the house. Um, but yeah, it was just me, my mom, and my granny in the house. It was predominantly girls. I was the only man in the house,
Yeah.
so I grew up around all women.
Mm. So you said you're the only man in the house. Did that make you like at a young age be a little more mature, a little more out there, like a protector in a sense?
Yeah, you could say,
Yeah.
but just growing up in the projects period made me kind of get out there fast anyway because the projects move fast. So you really don't have a childhood because as kids we already doing kind of grown people things. So I was already as a kid, 11, 10. I was already in dope spots and playing with guns and things like that.
So when your pops would come get you, your pops, he from Hoover, he come get you. Like, how was it over there?
Same thing, different community.
Yeah.
The same thing I was doing with people I grew up over here. I was doing over there with the people I grew up with. So we doing the same thing, breaking in houses, carrying guns, selling weed, dope, whatever. It was literally the same thing. Just I did it over here in this community, and when I went over here with this community, I just did it with different friends in a different community.
I got you. So now let's fast forward. So you get in, you going back from Nickerson Gardens into the Hoovers, back and forth with your mom and dad, right?
Right.
Is it Nickerson or where was you at the time?
Nixon's.
Okay. So then you get to a certain age to where you start, you got initiated into the gang, right? Like, how old were you when you like where you say you were initiated or put on, or was you put on? Was you walked on? Because some people can be born into a gang. You know what I'm saying? So how was that?
Right. So I never got put on in a sense. So I never got put on because my 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 father, he ran my old street in the world.
Right.
So I never had to get put on. So I've always, my daddy is Big Fly. So since a baby, before I probably was like, even before I could probably remember, all his friends and everybody who knew me, they always called me Lil Fly because of my daddy.
Right.
So I never got put on because of that. So
Yeah.
even before I started gangbanging, I always been Lil Fly.
Mm.
And everybody addressed me as that. So I always was treated as from being over there. So when I finally did say, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, it was just simple. I didn't even tell nobody or nothing. I just started banging it and hanging with the people I grew up with, and my name stayed the same because of my daddy.
So how old were you at the time when you said you started banging?
12, 13.
12. As they say, hopped off the porch, right?
Right.
12, 13, you in the streets. You know, whatever gangbangers do at 12, 13 years old. Then there's a time where, you know, you get really serious with the game. Like, what'd you say? You like, okay, this is it. We did this. We doing that. How would you say that experience was?
As far as being serious.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like I'm saying like this, like you come across your enemy now. You know what I'm saying? Like you come across enemies, it's like that now. You fighting at school. Like, you know what I'm saying? What was that like?
but I was 12, 13 years old.
Uh-huh.
That was even before 12, 13 years old. That's just something we did as kids. So as kids, before we even, that's why I say like, you kind of grew up banging and didn't even know it. That's what I didn't know it come from, because before we even ever said a gang slogan, we understood that you was from this other side and we didn't like you. So when we ran into kids from that other side, we jumped them anyway. And we wasn't even gang banging,
Right.
but we was claiming. So that really was a part of our introduction from kids. We knew that as kids before I was even 12. We was doing that.
Right, right. And then what was your first like running with the police, or first time going to jail?
My first time going to jail, I think, 13 years old for a gun.
13 years old.
Yeah, 13 years old.
So when that happened, how long did you have to do and where were you at?
Uh, I did 6 months. I went to juvenile LP, Los Padrinos. Went to Los Padrinos, stayed there for like a month. You know, took the first deal they threw me as a kid. I'm like, man, let's go. I'm here with all my friends. So it was like, it wasn't even jail at that time. It was like, I'm with all my boys. This is what we do. It was like a fun little thing to do. So I did 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the first camp I had ever went to was Camp Gonzalez in Malibu.
Mm. And like that being your first time in jail, like how did your mother take it? How did your father take it? Would they look at you?
So it was a crazy dynamic in the household. So my father, he was all for me gang banging, because his whole thing was is, if you was gonna gang bang, he already seen me running around with people when I was in the nigga sense. So he like, man, I already see that you about to gang bang because you running and hanging with these gang members. So he like, if you gonna gang bang, you gonna be from Hoover, or you ain't gonna gang bang. So he was already cool with it in the sense of, if you gonna bang, you gonna be over here because I run this over here so I can better protect you and have people look over you, versus being from somewhere else where I can't do nothing for you. And my mama, she was always against it. And my mama, my mama grew up a Christian. You know, she never gang banged. My mama probably never had a fight in her life. She like ain't never been into none of that type. I don't even know how she ever dealt with my dad because she never been into nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but she always been against it.
All right. Okay. So you saying like your pop seen you, he like, yeah, you gonna game bang, but you gonna be from over here though.
Right.
I got you. So you got out. You did it on 6 months. You got out. You went to school.
Yeah. So I don't think man. I think I probably dropped out of school probably like first month of ninth grade.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were just on the streets.
Yeah, I was in the streets. I dropped out of school the first month of ninth grade. Well, because I really never went. I'm ditching every day. Mom's coming up to the school. They called and she had to come sit in class with me. You know, that shit was hella embarrassing. You know, she had to literally come sit, take off work, come sit in class with me. And she been doing this with me since sixth grade. So all my teachers, every school I went to, all my teachers had a relationship with my mama because I never went. So they always called her.
Mm.
And my mama, she was like real proactive. So sometimes she'd just pop up without being called just to make sure I'm at where I'm supposed to be.
Sure.
So she grew a little relationship with the teachers to where if I miss a class, then they gonna call her.
Mm.
She coming.
Damn. Okay. So you drop out of ninth grade. Drop out of ninth grade. You basically in the streets and stuff like that, right? So then you go back to jail again?
Yeah.
Before the long run, did you go to jail again?
Right. So before the long run, I probably did like 7, 8 camp programs.
So you was in and out.
Yes, I was in and out. So I even my whole time on the streets, I've done more time in jail from juvenile to adult than on the streets. Period.
Mm.
So I was a person who everybody always know like, oh, he in jail. But if you see me on the streets, you know, like, all right, he'll be out here for like a month or two.
Yeah. Okay. So you meeting all these people. You got your people from your hood. You know what I'm saying, and all that, right? So let's fast forward to uh, 17 years old, and you catch a case. You explain. Can you go into that?
Yeah. So yeah, at that time, 17. We getting ready for it. Matter of fact, it was 2005. So we getting for ready for 5/9 Day, which is a hood day in the world. Which you celebrate whatever number you from, you celebrate your hood day on that number. So we in the world and we getting ready to celebrate this day,
May 9th.
May 9th.
Yeah.
And longer story short, you know, we see people from the other side. Someone got unalived.
Mm. Okay. And then what happened? You got unaligned. Then what?
Oh, so after that, life. It just back regular. Go back to the party, chill. Uh, Probably like life went on for me. You know, I honestly forgot about that whole situation, and then a year and a half later, police come knocking at my door about that.
A year and a half
A
later.
year and a half later,
Wow.
and they came knocking at my door because a female who grew up with us over there was just crazy. Uh, she got pulled over by the police like for like a warrant, like a juvenile warrant. And one of the things they always did was when they pull people over, they always ask people like, "Hey man, I'll let you go, but do you know anything about any murders or robberies?" Because they looking for big cases. And they asked her that, and she like, "Yeah, I know something about a murder that took place." And they immediately took her down to the station, got her statement, and in that statement she implicated me. So that's how they even came to know of me.
Hmm. Did you have any co-defendants?
Yeah. So what's even crazier is that her her boyfriend at the time was my co-defendant. So the only reason she knew about this case is because afterwards he went back to her house and told her what transpired.
And he's from your hood too.
And he was from Hoover.
Yeah. Oh, he's
So
from. Okay.
so he was from Hoover, and so she implicated him and two other people, and but the focus was solely on me because of the police. Everybody knew who my father was. So at that time, my father already had beat like 2 or 3 murders. So and I had 2 uncles in jail for murder. So they knew my family over there for being violent anyway. My cousins, everybody, my whole family only went to jail for murders or attempts. So the police used to be on us. They used to harass me anyway, just because they knew my father was. So once she gave them that information, they came knocking.
Mm. And there was no question they arrested you.
Well, they didn't arrest me right away. So what happened was is remind you the whole time all this going on, I don't know that she made statements on me.
Mm.
So this is somebody I used to be with every day.
Yeah.
She used to do all type of crazy stuff with us, and she's with me every day while I'm being investigated for this murder. I just don't know none of this.
Right.
So yeah, one day my little brother go to jail. My little brother went to jail in Slovakia. Before my little brother went to jail, my cousin went to jail for this murder. So my cousin, he go to jail like a few months after this murder happened. He go to jail and fight this case for a year. So when he come home, he tell me, he like, yeah, bro, they let me go, but they saying they got somebody else that they paying attention to. So it's already a year and some change later. I'm like, man, I don't know. So when my brother go to jail, everybody thought it was me that went to jail, but he went to jail for some whole other stuff. So this is how I come to find out. So after that happened, by them thinking it's me, it came back that, oh well, your cousin got some paperwork saying that this person told, and they looking for you. So I knew they was looking for me, but I had just got out of jail. Remind you, I just did a year in jail. So that time, that year that passed, I was in jail for a whole nother case, robbery and a gun. So I'm thinking like I just got out of jail. If they was looking for me, they wouldn't let me out. And I'm checking in with my PO every day. So I literally seen my probation officer the day I went to jail for this case. So I never even tripped, even though I heard through the streets that the police was looking for me. But I'm making police contact daily. They pull up, they knew me, so they'll pull up, like, hey, fly, man, lift your shirt up, turn around, go about your business. So I didn't think nothing of it. I'm like, they can't be looking for me because I'm making contact every day. But they was.
Mhm. Okay. So then, when did it come? When did you get charged?
Uh, it's crazy. It's been so long now. I can't even remember the exact day. But it was 2006, probably like November, like the third or fourth. So, and it's crazy too because I told you I missed all that time at school, so I had just checked back in school.
Mhm.
I had checked in Northbound High School, and, like a Tuesday, and they told me to come back Thursday. So I had checked in, and some of my close road dogs who I grew up with, they had caught a case, and the people they caught the case on, they was getting into it at court, little riots at court. So we all like, you know what, we gonna go up there deep, and really just go up there and show out. So I wasn't even supposed to be in LA at this time, but because of that incident happened, I'm told my mom like, well, look, I'm gonna go to LA. I check in school. I mean, my class don't start to Thursday, so today Tuesday. So I'm gonna go, and this is gonna be my last day in LA because I was living in Harper City at the time, and I'm about to just finish school. So I went down to LA just to go support what was going on at court. And when I went down there, it was just disastrous. Like I knew something bad was gonna happen that day because first thing that took place that day was it was an OG for 111, and that's the neighborhood Crips. He just did 20 years, and he got out. And his first day he got out and he got killed. So all of my older homies in the world, when I was in the world, they telling me like, hey man, don't be hanging out, because this just took place, and we don't want nothing to happen. But at the same time, I was getting to one of my homies at that time, and I'm trying to find out where he at. So he like, man, I'm over here. So, in the game world, sometimes you'll have the same name, but it'd be like you'll be big something, little something, baby something. So I stored my homie in the world name at that time wrong. So I'm thinking he's up under the name that I'm getting into it with, but it wasn't. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna meet you up over here if we get this out the way. And it took me way out my route. I get over here, it ain't even the person I'm getting into it with. It's his little homie, but they got the same name. So I want to post it up over here, and that's how I went to jail. I posted up over here. Uh, it's crazy because that whole day, my insides telling me, something kept telling me to go home. Like I could literally hear a voice as clear as I'm talking to you, like, man, just go home, just go home. Because like I said, I ain't even supposed to be in LA that day. But I'm like, man, you know what? I'm not about to be back here for the rest of the summer. I might as well just tear the city up before I go to school. So yeah, I ain't listened to the voice, and I went to jail that day.
Mhm.
Went to jail that day, hanging out on the block. Police pulled up. They already know who I am, so as soon as they pulled up, they like, hey man, come here. You got a warrant. And I wasn't tripping because I'm like, I just seen my PO today. My PO was cool in the sense of he told me, like, man, look, I know you're doing your game thing, but as long as you go to school, I really don't care what you do. Just go to school and don't catch no cases. So I actually told him that day, I'm like, all right, look, because I didn't supposed to be in LA because that was part of my condition. So I'm like, look, can I just go over here for this one day? I go to school, start through school Thursday. Can I just go to LA? And he like, man, go ahead, just don't get in no trouble. So when they put up on me, talking about I got a warrant, me being like naive to the situation, I didn't run or nothing. I had all opportunity to run, but I'm like, man, they know me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no gun over here, nothing. I'm good. I just see my parole officer. I got permission to be over here. And I went in there. I went to them. Like, they jumped out on me. Like, hey, come here, let me search you. And that was the last day I seen the streets.
Damn. And then what did you get charged with?
Murder.
Got charged with the murder.
Gang related murder.
Mm. Okay. So you go you get police take you in, you get charged with the murder. You fight it at county, you in county or something?
Yeah, so when I first got charged this case, I was a juvenile.
Mm-hmm.
So the little games they played was they knew I was a juvenile. So they didn't want to charge me as a juvenile because then I could fight it from a juvenile and I could get like juvenile life or something. So what they did was I was about to turn 18 in a year. So what they did was like charge me for some bogus crimes like being out past curfew, something else, and just hanging around gang members and gave me 6 months. And then after that 6 months, they just kept me in there until I turned 18. And then when I turned 18, they released me from juvenile court because I wasn't charged yet for the murder, even though they took me to jail for it. And then they rearrested me they released me from juvenile court and then rearrested me for the murder. Then took me to the adult court.
That's rough. That's rough. So then you go in, and now take me to the part where, you know, I know how long was it before you was actually convicted?
So I fought my case in the county probably for like 3.5 years.
Okay, you fought for 3 years before we get to the conviction. You're in jail, you're 17. You're in prison now, right?
Yeah, I'm in the county
Oh,
jail.
you're in county. You're in
I'm in
county.
the county jail.
So you're in the county. Is your first time in the county?
First time in the county.
So your first time in the county. Give me an experience about your first time in the county and how that go for the first, couple weeks or whatever.
All right, so like for me personally, it was easy. Just because like my whole time in juvenile hall, I was always a big person with hands. So I used to terrorize everybody at juvenile hall. Like I ran the whole juvenile hall, my whole stay in juvenile hall.
Yeah.
So when I made that transition to the county, you hear stories from your homies. I used to be on the streets and getting called like certain conversation like, oh yeah, man, these people just jumped this person and cut these tattoos off. And so you hear these stories and you be like, man, if I ever go to the county, I got to be on my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the attitude I already had because I got family. Everybody telling me how the county is. I had homies coming home telling me like, hey, yeah, when you go to the county, you better be prepared for this. You might have to fight 6, 7 people back to back to back, like whoop to whoop. So I ain't been through it, but we used to talk about it all the time on the street, so I kind of knew. So once I got there, uh, remind you, I was already mad because I'm a kid. I'm being charged with a murder. So in my head, and I knew somebody was telling on me, so I'm already mad. I'm mad at the world already. So when I went to the county jail, I just let go all that anger. I turned it to gladiator school.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, that was really my introduction. First floor I went, they sent me to Supermax 700. I went to Supermax 700. I did the overnight in the county. They sent me to Supermax 700. I went to dorms 714. That was the first dorm I hit. And when I went in there, I had a few homies in there in the world. And I'm like, man, I get in there. What's up, man? What's going on? I'm like, hey, man, what enemies in here though? They like, oh yeah, So they told me we got them phase out the way, and when I first came, it was like I was just super turned up. Everybody know me for being I'm super turned up. If anybody that when I was in the world, if you was my enemies, we run into each other. If I ain't already fought you in juvenile hall, we fight. It could be 10 of y'all. I'm coming in here dissing. I was like a little baby kid in there. Like, so I was doing stuff that people wasn't even doing because, like, remind you, I came from juvenile hall. So when I came, I didn't have no tattoos or none of that. I think I only had like one tattoo. And so I'm in here with all these grown people. They got eye busters and things like this. So I'm like, oh no. So me being me, I'm like extra out. So I used to go get we had these white shirts they give us. So I had these white shirts, and I had one of my Issacharite brothers from 18 hook my shirt up. He put the Hoover and whack all the gangs out. And I wear this throughout the county jail, going to court. You know what I'm saying? Because this was my way of like, and I ain't got the tattoos yet, but I'm really like this.
Yeah.
So I throw the shirt on it. And every time I did that was the most face I probably had every day. You know what I'm saying? For real. Like,
Right.
you know, we squabbling.
Okay. Got you. So then, okay, so you're in the county, you handle your business, you're doing all that, which is like, normal. You
Right.
bang bang, that's what happens, right?
Right.
Get in the county, you got to get those out the way, you got to do those things. So then after all that, now you fighting your case. You fighting your case for 3 years in the county,
Right.
from 17 years old to 20 years old.
2021.
Okay, so yeah.
So I did 3.5. So you're like, I think I left the county at 21.
Oh yeah, because they put you, they had you sit for a year and then county.
Right.
Right. So now you fight it for 3 years, and then after fighting it for 3 years, they give you deals in between. Like I try to make you sign a deal a couple times.
Right. So they offered me deals from the gate. I think my first deal was like 10 years. You know, like 2007, my first deal was like 10 years. I'm 18. They said 10 years. I'm like, that's a life sentence. They ain't taking no 10 years. Are you crazy? So the DA came to me like, man, look, we got this information, whatever. Uh, what would you be willing to take? So I'm like, man, I would literally take me going home today an apology. You know, like, this is literally what I told him. I'm like, man, I like literally like I want an apology and I want you to let me go home. But like, because at the time I had a lawyer. You know what I'm saying? I had a top notch lawyer at the time. You know what I'm saying? My family always had money, so I had a lawyer, and in my head I'm thinking like, shit, well, money equals freedom. So I'm like, man, I ain't really tripping about what y'all talking about because y'all don't got no evidence. Y'all only got hearsay. So I was like super cocky. My first probably like 2 years fighting my case.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to hear nothing. I go in there smiling, laughing, cussing the people out in there. Like, no, I don't care what y'all talking about because I just knew I was going home.
Mm. So you turned down the first deal,
Yeah, I turned out the first, second, and third deal.
and then and then they came with what?
They came with 21. So the first one was 10. Then they went from 10 to 15. Then I'm like, if I didn't take 10, why would I go to 15? I'm really not taking that. You know what I'm saying? Like that math ain't math.
So you thinking that's gonna come lower, but it's actually going higher.
I wasn't even tripping about them coming lower. I was convinced I was going home. I wasn't taking no deals from the gate. So
Oh.
I used to be like getting to my mom, my dad. My dad, he like, my dad's he's a real game master. He like, man, look, I don't care what they first deal they take it. You know, like, man, you got an uncle that been in jail 30 years for something he didn't do. Just take it. Like, so I'm telling him like, no, you come take it. I ain't taking this. Crazy. My mom, everybody tell me to take the deal, but I'm like, man, I'm not taking nothing. People on the inside would be like, bro, just take it. I'm like, I'm not hearing nothing. I'm taking an apology and freedom. Like, and I mean this. Like, I'm not taking no deal because in my head, I did a lot of camp programs, but that's the longest I did in camp was a year. Usually it's like 6 months here, 9 months there. That was fun. That wasn't nothing. But now you talking about 10 years? I'm like, nah, that's a life sentence for me.
Mhm.
I ain't doing that.
So when they came with 21, how did you feel? How did that make you feel?
Oh, by the time I came to 21, I had to change of heart. Yes. But because at that time, remind you in the county jail. So
Yeah.
I'm catching cases in the county jail with knives. You know what I'm saying? I'm catching different assaults. I'm catching cases in the county. So now I got my regular case, but then I got the stuff I'm doing in here. But then not just that. Every day I'm in here, I got knives on me. I'm putting myself in a situation to get more time. Period. You know what I'm saying? We in here busting on people. So the way I'm living is making me think like, that deal ain't looking too bad now. Because at this rate, I might catch another murder in here. So you doing so much, and then just by sitting, you watching people. I'm watching people. My cousins fighting cases. Oh, they offer you 15 years. You don't take it. Go back to trial. You get life. So I'm watching people get banged left to right, and I'm like, dang, you know. So that like kind of humbled me because I'm like, I didn't see people come in there that everybody know they didn't do it, didn't have no evidence, and you get life without. I done seen people come in there with evidence with a person saying you shot me and everybody know you did it and you beat it and go home. So I already was starting to like put it together like, yeah, this ain't cool. Like it's not fair. So I started thinking about like, damn, can I really do 21?
Yeah.
But my biggest fear about doing any time was I'm turned up. And the way I'm living, I can get life any day. every day in jail, I'm doing something to catch life. So that was like my biggest fear. It's like, man, because anybody know if you go to jail, you can take 10 years. That don't mean you coming home in 10 years. So it's like like depending on who you are too though, because you got some people that go in there, do their time and go home.
Right.
Then you have some people like me. So me, who I was in the world, I was a target from Hoover. Everybody knew me. I was the turned up person everybody knew. So it wasn't never gonna be easy for me because I didn't make it easy for people.
Mm.
So it was just all that I was taking into consideration. Like, man, I know I'm not gonna get no breaks doing this. At that time, 15 years.
Right.
You know, and this only gonna get worse. This county jail. But once I go to prison, it's gonna get worse.
Yeah. So you get you handle all that, so then you get convicted.
Okay.
And what date was that?
So I took my deal April 30th, 2000, April 30th, 2010.
Mm.
I took my deal April 30th, 2010. I didn't leave the prison till like May 2010.
Okay. And you went from county, then you get convicted, you go to prison. What prison did you go to?
I went to Lancaster. So when I was in the county, I used to be messing up. So I always was in and out of high power. They always like it was a floor called 3000 floor. So I used to run that whole floor, and uh, I used to always get in trouble. Me and one of my friends in the world. So anything happened on this floor, I don't even got to do it. They gonna come get us because this is what we did over here. So I was always out of high power. So when they actually came and get me to go to prison, I left from high power. So when you leave from high power, uh, you get treated different. So like when you go to the prison, like they put you in a little cage by yourself, like because they look at you, they put you like a terrorist in a sense.
Mm.
So my first experience in prison was messed up because of the way I came to prison from the county. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, they couldn't really do nothing about. I always get out of high power because they only can keep you for so long. Because if you assault somebody, like even if you stab somebody up, if that person don't say you stabbed them, then they can't do nothing about it. It's like we didn't see you do it, and he got to say you stabbed him. Other than that, it's just like I don't know what happened to him, even though it's just me and you in here. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
So because they can never get me, what they did was this last time they hit me with a race riot. That's how you get it to stick, because they don't care if you do like your people on people stuff, but when you get to doing racial stuff, oh yeah, now you're a problem. So what they did was they put on my jacket that I tried to start a race riot, and that's what they sent me to high power for. So,
Okay. So you go to Lancaster, you're in prison, right? First time in prison.
yeah, Lancaster reception.
Right. And you on a level.
So reception ain't even no level, because it's just like it's like an intake. You ain't even really in prison. You in prison, but it's not really even prison because you basically with all the people that's coming to prison, and y'all isolated from the prison until y'all get to where y'all really going.
Mm. So how long you stay there?
I stayed in Lancaster probably for like,
No, I'm talking about in reception.
yeah, Lancaster reception. I stayed there probably for like 8 months because I was really messing up intentionally because I'm in Lancaster. It's close to the house.
Yeah.
I had about like 50 homies there, so I'm rushing people. I'm doing anything to stay here. As soon as they put my name on the ducket, they're like, "Hey, you going to Salinas Valley?" I'm going where? Like Salinas. I'm like, where? That's I never heard that. They like.